There are places in the world where nature does not simply exist, it speaks. Niagara Falls is one of those rare places where water becomes a voice and sound becomes a language older than memory. As you approach the edge of the gorge, the first thing you feel is not the sight of the falling water, but the vibration of its presence, an ancient heartbeat that has echoed through the valley for thousands of years. The mist rises like a veil of breath, drifting over the river in soft waves, carrying with it 1,000 refracted rainbows. The roar, deep, thunderous, unbroken, rolls across the landscape, blending with the wind that sweeps over the cliffs. Standing there, you realize that Niagara is more than a waterfall. It is a living monument of time, a force that has shaped lands, inspired nations, and humbled all who have stood before it. Long before explorers traced new routes and long before cities rose along the river's edge, Indigenous nations honored the falls as sacred ground, an entrance to the spirit world, a place where the earth speaks directly through water and stone. Through centuries of change, Niagara remained constant, its voice never dimming, its rhythm never ceasing. Today, millions of visitors come in search of wonder, drawn by the same natural magnetism that captivated generations before them. And yet, despite its global fame, the essence of Niagara remains deeply intimate, found not in the photographs of tourists, but in the quiet moments when the mist touches your skin and the timeless power of water surrounds you. This journey into the story of Niagara Falls begins here, at the edge of the unknown, where the river takes its final step over the ancient cliff and descends into eternity. Listen closely. Water remembers everything. To understand Niagara Falls is to step into a world of deep time, a timeline written in stone, ice, and water over hundreds of millions of years. The iconic waterfalls that exist today are merely the latest chapter in a story that began long before humans first walked the continent. The foundations of Niagara were laid more than 400 million years ago, during the Silurian and Devonian periods, when much of what is now North America lay beneath warm, shallow seas. Over millions of years, sediments accumulated, layers of sand, mud, and the fossilized remains of marine life. Under immense pressure, these layers transformed into the sedimentary rock formations that make up the Niagara Escarpment: limestone, dolomite, shale, and sandstone. These layers formed a natural staircase in the Earth's crust, stretching hundreds of kilometers across the region. But the dramatic shape of the falls themselves is far younger. Their true story begins at the end of the last ice age, around 12,000 years ago, when the massive Laurentide ice sheet began to retreat northward. As it melted, it released vast quantities of water, enough to carve basins that became the Great Lakes and to reshape entire landscapes through erosion and flooding. The meltwater carved a path from Lake Erie toward Lake Ontario. Along this route, it encountered the edge of the ancient escarpment, a cliff of hard limestone resting atop softer layers of shale. This meeting point between flowing water and changing rock was the birthplace of Niagara Falls. As water began pouring over the escarpment, the softer shale eroded quickly. The harder limestone above, unable to support its own weight, fractured and collapsed. This process repeated endlessly. Water eroded the shale, the limestone snapped off, the cliff retreated. This phenomenon is known as headward erosion, the force that has moved the falls more than 11 kilometers upstream from their original location near today's town of Lewiston, New York. The resulting gorge, deep, narrow, and lined with exposed layers of ancient rock, stands as a geological record of the fall's backward journey through time. Each stratum tells a story: ancient coral reefs, prehistoric mudflats, the traces of vanished seas. During the earliest days of the falls, water flow was far greater than today. As glacial meltwater surged, the falls eroded the escarpment at a rate of about 1 meter per year, a staggering pace when viewed on the scale of geological processes. Eventually, as the climate stabilized, water flow decreased, slowing erosion to more moderate rates. In the modern era, human engineering efforts that divert water for hydroelectric power have reduced erosion even further. Today, Niagara Falls is divided into three main sections. Horseshoe Falls, the largest and most powerful, on the Canadian side. American Falls on the U.S. side. Bridal Veil Falls, a narrow and delicate cascade beside the American Falls. Each formed as the river encountered different segments of rock, creating distinct shapes and flow patterns. Despite centuries of scientific study, Niagara Falls remains a dynamic and continuously evolving geological feature. The cliff continues to retreat, the gorge deepens, and the river carves minuscule changes into the landscape every day. Even now, Niagara is not a finished monument. It is a living geological process as unstoppable as the river itself. The story written in its rocks is a reminder of Earth's restless creativity, slow, powerful, and eternal. To understand Niagara Falls is to understand movement of water, movement of landscapes, and movement of time itself. The hydrology of the falls is a story shaped by the immense force of the Niagara River, a 58-kilometer stretch of water that connects Lake Erie to Lake Ontario, forming a crucial link in the Great Lakes system. Although short, the river carries a staggering volume of water. Every second, an average of over 2,800 cubic meters flows toward the falls, making Niagara one of the most powerful freshwater systems on Earth. The river itself is divided into three main sections: the Upper Niagara River, the Falls, and the Lower Niagara River. Before reaching the precipice, the water flows calmly through a broad, shallow channel, passing over islands, marshes, and quiet stretches of riparian landscape. But as it approaches the falls, the river narrows and accelerates, guided by the contours of the bedrock beneath it. Rapids form where the river rushes over uneven layers of limestone and shale, creating a turbulence that foreshadows the plunge ahead. Just upstream from the brink lies Goat Island, a natural divider that splits the river into two main channels. To the left, water flows around the island toward the Canadian Horseshoe Falls, a vast crescent-shaped curtain recognized for its deep turquoise tint. To the right, the river bends toward the American Falls and Bridal Veil Falls, narrower and more angular but equal in drama and intensity. These divisions are the result of both natural geological processes and the placement of islands and rock ledges formed over thousands of years. The Horseshoe Falls, spanning about 670 meters, is the most powerful of the three. Here, the water drops a dramatic 57 meters into the turbulent pool below, generating clouds of mist that can rise more than 100 meters into the sky. The much straighter American Falls, about 260 meters wide, falls between 21 and 34 meters, depending on accumulated boulders at its base. Meanwhile, the slender Bridal Veil Falls plunges freely over a sharp cliff, separated from the American Falls by a thin sliver of rock known as Luna Island. The hydrology of Niagara is also deeply influenced by human activity. To preserve the falls and prevent excessive erosion, international agreements between the United States and Canada regulate how much water can be diverted for hydroelectric generation. During daylight hours in tourist season, a larger volume of water is allowed to spill naturally over the cliff, preserving the iconic appearance of the falls. At night and during the off-season, more water is channeled into power stations, reducing both the flow and the rate of erosion. These agreements maintain a careful balance between human needs and natural beauty. Downstream, the river becomes the Lower Niagara River, a narrow, powerful gorge carved by thousands of years of retreating waterfalls. Here, the river flows through the Niagara Whirlpool, a giant natural vortex created by ancient shifts in the river's path. The whirlpool's swirling waters are among the most dramatic hydrological features in North America, reflecting the force that has shaped the region. In its entirety, the hydrology and structure of Niagara Falls reveal a system that is both gentle and ferocious, ancient and ever-changing. It is a landscape sculpted by water pressure and gravity, yet refined by human engineering and environmental stewardship. The river does not simply fall. It transforms, surges, and flows, carrying the memory of the Great Lakes and the story of time itself. Niagara Falls is more than a geological marvel. It is an ecosystem shaped by water, climate, and centuries of natural evolution. The surrounding region supports a diverse environment where river, forest, cliffside, and wetland habitats converge, creating one of the most unique ecological zones in the Great Lakes area. The climate of Niagara is deeply influenced by its position between Lake Erie and Lake Ontario. These vast bodies of water moderate temperatures throughout the year, creating what scientists call a microclimate, a localized environment with milder winters and cooler summers than the surrounding inland areas. Moisture from the lakes also increases precipitation, feeding the lush forests and meadowlands that blanket the region. The constant mist rising from the falls further enhances humidity levels, allowing mosses, ferns, and moisture-loving plants to thrive along the escarpment walls. The ecosystems around Niagara are shaped by the river's journey. In the upper Niagara River, before the rapids, calmer waters support wetlands and shallow marshes that serve as critical breeding grounds for fish, amphibians, and migratory birds. These wetlands act as natural filters, improving water quality and providing essential habitat for species such as herons, kingfishers, frogs, and river otters. As the river approaches the falls, the environment changes dramatically. The powerful rapids create oxygen-rich water that supports fish species adapted to fast-moving currents. Below the falls, in the lower Niagara River, the gorge forms a unique microhabitat resembling a natural wind tunnel. The steep cliffs, shaded by dense vegetation, host rare ferns and wildflowers, some found nowhere else in Canada or the northeastern United States. The fast-flowing water in this section is home to species such as salmon, lake trout, and smallmouth bass, which navigate the turbulent channels with remarkable agility. Bird life is one of the region's greatest ecological treasures. The Niagara River corridor is recognized as a globally significant important bird area, particularly during winter months when thousands of gulls, ducks, and waterfowl gather along the river's ice-free waters. The constant flow of the river prevents freezing, making Niagara a refuge for wildlife in harsh weather conditions. Bald eagles, once rare, now nest in the region again thanks to decades of conservation work. Forest ecosystems thrive on the surrounding cliffs and plateaus. Maple, oak, hickory, and beech dominate the mixed hardwood forests, while the escarpment's ledges support ancient cedar trees, some over 1,000 years old, their roots gripping the sheer limestone walls. These ancient trees are living witnesses to the entire post-glacial history of Niagara. The environment is also shaped by the continuous spray produced by the falls. This mist creates a humid microzone where rare mosses, lichens, and shade-loving plants grow in dense clusters. The evaporating water refracts light, producing rainbows that have become a signature of the Niagara landscape. Together, these ecosystems form a delicate yet resilient natural network. Each species, habitat, and climatic pattern contributes to a complex environmental tapestry that is inseparable from the falls themselves. Niagara is not only a spectacle, it is a living, breathing world shaped by water, climate, and time. The roar of Niagara Falls may be the region's most recognizable voice, but beyond the mist and thunder lies a living tapestry, one woven by forests, currents, migratory wings, and ancient roots. Nature thrives here in quiet harmony, and each species plays a part in the grand ecological rhythm shaped by water and time. The forests surrounding Niagara are dominated by deciduous hardwoods, sugar maple, red oak, American beech, black walnut, and eastern hemlock, trees that have stood sentinel for centuries. Their canopies shift with the seasons, tender green in the spring, deep emerald in the summer, and a brilliant blaze of crimson and gold each autumn. The moisture-rich environment created by the falls supports lush undergrowth, including ferns, mosses, and clusters of wildflowers that carpet the forest floor in early summer. Among them bloom trilliums, the emblematic flower of Ontario, alongside violets, wild columbine, and asters. Closer to the riverbanks, the vegetation shifts. Willow trees bend toward the rushing waters, their slender branches hovering above the currents. Cottonwood and sycamore trees spread wide trunks along the shoreline, adapting to the river's periodic floods. Marshy areas near the lower river host cattails, reeds, and water lilies, plants that shelter amphibians and filtering microorganisms essential for ecological balance. The fauna of the Niagara region is equally diverse, shaped by the intersection of dense forest, open water, and migratory pathways. White-tailed deer roam the woodlands with quiet elegance, emerging at dawn and dusk to feed. Raccoons, foxes, and eastern cottontail rabbits inhabit the underbrush, while squirrels and chipmunks claim the treetops. The cliffs and escarpments provide nesting sites for peregrine falcons, once endangered but now a symbol of successful conservation. Red-tailed hawks circle above the gorge, riding thermal currents in serene spirals. One of the most remarkable aspects of Niagara's wildlife is its role as a major migratory corridor. The Niagara River connects Lake Erie to Lake Ontario, forming part of the Atlantic Flyway, one of the most significant bird migration routes in North America. Each spring and fall, thousands of birds pass through: warblers, sandpipers, swans, and geese. The region is especially renowned for its diversity of gull species, drawing birdwatchers from around the world. In the waters themselves, life moves with the current. Lake sturgeon, an ancient species that predates the dinosaurs, once thrived here. Though their populations declined dramatically due to overfishing and habitat loss, modern conservation efforts aim to restore their presence. The river also hosts smallmouth bass, northern pike, muskellunge, and various species of trout and salmon, many of which migrate through the system depending on the season. Even the smallest creatures play essential roles. Insects such as dragonflies skim the water's surface, while pollinators, bees, butterflies, and moths travel between flowering plants. Their movement ensures the renewal of vegetation across the region, maintaining the delicate balance that sustains all forms of life. Together, the flora and fauna of Niagara form a thriving ecosystem shaped by water, wind, and the ancient geological forces that carved the landscape. It is a living world, one that persists, adapts, and evolves under the ever-present mist of the falls, reminding us that even in places known for their grandeur, life's quiet details remain equally extraordinary. Long before Niagara became a symbol of international tourism, it was a sacred landscape, one known, named, and cherished by Indigenous peoples for thousands of years. To the Haudenosaunee Confederacy, the nations of the Mohawk, Oneida, Onondaga, Cayuga, Seneca, and later the Tuscarora, the falls are far more than a natural wonder. They are a place of power, a site of spiritual reflection, and a living presence intertwined with cultural identity, oral tradition, and ancestral memory. The earliest known inhabitants of the region were the neutral nation, called Attawandaron by neighboring groups. They lived between Lakes Erie and Ontario, cultivating fertile lands and trading widely. For them, the river was a source of sustenance and spiritual meaning. Archaeological findings suggest that fishing camps, hunting grounds, and seasonal settlements once dotted the riverbanks long before European arrival. Among the Haudenosaunee, the Seneca Nation held primary stewardship over the western side of the falls. They referred to the thunderous cascade with variations of the word Onguiara, meaning the strait or thunder of waters, a name that would eventually evolve into Niagara. For these communities, the falls were part of a larger cosmological framework. Stories passed down through generations describe the waters as living beings with voices and intentions, shaping not only the land, but the destiny of its people. One of the most enduring legends is the story of Leilawala, the Maid of the Mist, a tale of sacrifice, tragedy, and spiritual rebirth. In the story, Leilawala is drawn into the river and swept toward the falls, where she encounters the thunder beings who dwell beneath the cascade. They rescue her, imparting wisdom and warning her people of an impending threat. Whether interpreted symbolically or spiritually, the narrative reveals how deeply indigenous cultures connect the falls with themes of transformation and the relationship between humans and nature. Niagara was also a crossroads of diplomacy and trade. The river acted as a natural corridor, linking inland nations with the Great Lakes. Ceremonial gatherings, seasonal migrations, and council meetings often took place near its shores. The sound of the falls, audible for miles, served as a guide and reminder of the land's spiritual significance. After European colonization in the 17th and 18th centuries, Niagara became a contested frontier, but indigenous peoples maintained their presence and sovereignty. Treaties, such as the Treaty of Fort Stanwix and later agreements with British and American authorities, reshaped territorial boundaries but never erased the cultural connection to the falls. Today, indigenous nations continue to protect and honor the region. Cultural centers, educational programs, and land stewardship initiatives preserve traditional knowledge and ensure that the stories of the first caretakers remain integral to Niagara's narrative. Their teachings remind us that the falls are not merely a geological marvel or tourist destination. They are a living spirit, a teacher, and a testament to the enduring bond between people and place. For centuries, Niagara Falls remained a distant whisper, known primarily to indigenous peoples and only gradually revealed to the wider world. But once its presence reached the ears of explorers, artists, engineers, and dreamers, Niagara became a beacon, a place where nature's raw power met the endless curiosity of humankind. The first recorded European to describe Niagara Falls was Louis Hennepin, a French missionary who visited the region in 1678. His vivid accounts, though embellished, introduced Europe to a natural wonder unlike anything previously imagined. Hennepin's descriptions inspired maps, exploration, and a wave of fascination that would echo across continents. Over the next century, the region became a site of strategic importance during the French and British colonial rivalry, culminating in conflicts such as the War of 1812, during which the Niagara frontier became a decisive battleground. By the early 19th century, peace had returned, and with it came the first era of tourism. Roads were cut through dense forests, accommodations were built, and artists flocked to the falls to capture its majesty on canvas. Writers such as Charles Dickens and Mark Twain made pilgrimages to witness the thunderous spectacle, their reflections adding literary prestige to Niagara's growing reputation. It quickly became a symbol of the sublime, nature's ability to provoke awe, reflection, and even fear. Yet for all its beauty, Niagara also attracted those who sought to challenge it. The 1800s saw a series of daring stunts: tightrope walkers crossing the gorge, barrel riders braving the plunge, and showmen performing theatrical feats on the precipice of danger. Though controversial, these acts etched themselves into the cultural memory of Niagara, reinforcing the fall's reputation as both inspiring and intimidating. As industrialization advanced, another kind of marvel emerged: engineering. The same waters that drew artists now attracted scientists and engineers seeking to harness its immense energy. In 1895, the world's first large-scale hydroelectric power plant, funded in part by Nikola Tesla and George Westinghouse, began operating on the American side. Using alternating current, their work revolutionized the distribution of electricity, proving that Niagara's power could illuminate cities miles away. Their achievement marked one of the most significant technological milestones of the modern age. Throughout the 20th century, both the United States and Canada undertook massive engineering projects to safeguard the falls and manage the river's flow. Water diversion tunnels, canals, and control dams balance the dual goals of preserving the natural spectacle and generating renewable power. The shape of the Horseshoe Falls was subtly altered over time as engineers worked to slow erosion, and observation towers, pathways, and parks were constructed to accommodate millions of annual visitors. Tourism flourished. The Maid of the Mist boats carried guests into the heart of the roaring spray, while the journey behind the falls and Cave of the Winds brought them face to face with the raw torrent. Hotels, illuminated night shows, and international attractions turned Niagara into a global destination, blending nature's awe with human ingenuity. Today, Niagara Falls stands as both a historical monument and a living testament to the evolving relationship between humanity and the natural world. It is a place where explorers once stood in reverent silence, where engineers reimagined the future of power, and where generations of visitors continue to seek wonder, thrill, and connection. Beneath the beauty of Niagara Falls lies a complex interplay of environmental pressures, forces both natural and human-made that challenge the long-term stability of this iconic landscape. For centuries, the falls have carved their way upriver through relentless erosion. At its fastest, centuries ago, the falls retreated almost a meter per year. Though natural, this process threatened the very shape of the Horseshoe Falls and the ecosystems that depend on the river's steady flow. Human activity compounded these challenges. Industrial development in the 19th and early 20th centuries polluted the waterway, while extensive construction altered the hydrology of the river. The growing demand for hydroelectric power led to major diversions of water away from the brink, prompting concerns that the falls could lose their dramatic appearance. Meanwhile, tourism, while economically vital, introduced new pressures through infrastructure expansion, waste generation, and habitat disruption. Recognizing these threats, both Canada and the United States undertook landmark preservation efforts starting in the late 1800s. The establishment of the Niagara Reservation, later Niagara Falls State Park, and Queen Victoria Park on the Canadian side marked some of the earliest attempts in North America to protect natural landscapes for public enjoyment. These parks became the foundation of a broader, binational approach to conservation. The most significant milestone came in 1950 with the signing of the Niagara River Water Diversion Treaty. This agreement established strict regulations governing how much water could be diverted for power generation, ensuring that the falls retained their iconic flow. Engineers created control structures that balance energy needs with environmental protection by adjusting water volume seasonally and even hourly. Modern conservation efforts extend beyond hydrology. Environmental organizations monitor fish populations, water quality, and forest health. Restoration programs aim to reintroduce native plant species, rehabilitate wetlands, and protect nesting areas for peregrine falcons and migratory birds. Cleanup initiatives continue to address legacy pollution in the Great Lakes system, improving the overall ecological health of the region. Climate change presents a new frontier of challenges. Altered precipitation patterns, warmer winters, and increased storm activity all influence the flow and stability of the Niagara River. Researchers and policymakers work together to model future scenarios and develop adaptive strategies, ensuring that the falls remain resilient in the decades ahead. Yet, amid these concerns, Niagara stands as a success story of cross-border cooperation and environmental stewardship. The roar of the falls today is not just the voice of nature, it is the echo of collective efforts to preserve one of the world's great wonders. Through careful management, scientific innovation, and a shared devotion to safeguarding its beauty, Niagara Falls continues to inspire hope and remind us of our responsibility to protect the natural world. In the end, Niagara Falls is more than a collision of water and stone. It is a meeting place between time and eternity. Here, ancient glaciers whisper through the roar of the cascade, and the river carries stories older than memory itself. Generations have stood at its edge, Indigenous guardians, explorers, dreamers, engineers, and travelers, each drawn by something deeper than beauty, something elemental and alive. The falls remind us that nature is both fragile and powerful, shaped by forces vast and delicate. They call us to reflect on our role within that balance, to admire, to learn, and to protect. As the mist rises and the thunder rolls across the gorge, Niagara offers a final lesson, one of continuity, renewal, and wonder. For in every drop that spills over the brink, there is the echo of an ancient world and the promise of the one still to come.